right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks, Josh. Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. We have a lot to talk about tonight at 412-575-2600. Bob Pompeani here, joined tonight by Andrew Fillipponi up at 93.7 The Fan. Pirates lose 5-4. Plenty of chances to win this game tonight. The biggest managerial decision was made in the bottom of the seventh inning with the bases loaded and one out, and Brandon Lowe due up. It's not just any hitter. It's a hitter who has hit 4 home runs and 11 runs batted in the last 3 games. He was on base a couple of times tonight, and yet Don Kelly decides, Andrew, to pinch hit Nick York, who went 0 for 5 yesterday, and in 2 at-bats tonight, he accounted for 3 outs. He grounded into an inning-ending double play. I understand Lau's numbers maybe not great against lefties, but I also know he's a hot hitter. I'm taking hot. I'm taking experience. He had 6 home runs and 55 runs batted in and over 300 average with the bases loaded in his career. That's managerial malpractice, I would say.
Well, it was over-managing. It was thinking too much. It was letting the numbers, Lau's stats against lefties, besides the home run tonight, infect his brain and forced a decision that came back to bite the Pirates twice. Not only did Nick York hit into a double play there to end that inning, but then the last out of the game was made by York again. That would have been Lau with Connor Griffin on second base, the tying run. After he had doubled to really get that inning started in the 9th. And you lose out on an opportunity to win this game with your best hitter up late because you tried to do too much. Yeah, I was stunned by that move. You know, Donnie Kelly himself was a bench player, and I wonder sometimes with him if he might have too much confidence or think about those guys too much because he was one of those guys. And sometimes even with him, like we saw with Shelton, we see the bench guys play games and get inserted into situations where I think the Pirates should stick with their top guys. And I was just baffled. I could not believe my eyes. I thought Lau was injured, to be honest with you. Now, he walked back from the bat. Well, then I didn't understand, Bob. It made no sense.
No,
it made
absolutely
makes sense if
you're
zero
looking strictly
sense.
at numbers.
Well,
the problem with this kind of managing, and it's just this case for Donnie Kelly, there's a lot of this season left, so I'm sure he'll be redeeming himself in other ways. But in this case, he's the hottest. I don't care what the situation. If he's
Correct.
4 home runs, 11 RBIs, we saw something in the last 2 games we have never seen before. He's the hottest hitter on the planet. I don't care who is out there, and I don't care what position, right, lefty. You got to go with that guy. I'm sorry, and this is Nick York, who went 0 for 5 yesterday.
Yeah, you don't pinch hit in that situation.
No. That's why you gave him. How much money did they give him?
Well, they should give him money because he's on the last year of his deal after they got him from the Rays. But
he is a high price guy. He's going to make a lot of money. He hit 31 home runs last year. Again, numbers to me don't matter. You use your gut there, and he's hot. He was on base beyond that tonight. So, anyway, go ahead. Just, I thought there was such a missed opportunity.
No, it absolutely was. And you wasted one of the great throws we've seen ever at PNC Park by Jake Mangum on one of the fastest base runners in baseball, Abrams, who's one of the underrated hitters and really players in all of baseball. That whole sequence where the play got made off the bounce to make the throw home, and the way Joey Bart really flawlessly moved out of the way and caught the ball and applied the tag. It all happened harmoniously, and you know, that play is going to get forgotten in a lot of ways because it happened in a loss. You know, even Mitch Keller did not have a great start, but he went deep enough into the game where it allowed for you to get back into it against the Nationals team that really can't pitch. This is not a good defensive team and pitching team in the Nationals, and the Pirates had ample opportunities to climb back in this game and win this game, and now they're in a situation where in order to make this series a positive one, you got to win the game tomorrow night and you got to win the game Thursday afternoon. You don't want to split at home with teams like the Washington Nationals, Bob.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, there was a great play in left field to rob Marcell Ozuna, which could have been a run there. So they made plays when they had to. The Pirates just missed out too many opportunities in this game, including the bottom of the 7th inning. When we come back, we'll open up the phone lines, 412-575-2600. We'll also talk about Pens and Flyers they're playing out the string tonight, and some of those guys are playing pretty well in St. Louis. Your thoughts about Tocchet coming back to Pittsburgh and what that series looks like coming up as we continue right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're live on KDKA Plus 7 nights a week, so don't be a stranger. All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night, and it comes from AT Baseball. Brandon Lau's rankings among second basemen. You can see 7 home runs, 15 runs batted in, an OPS of 1118, WAR first. All these numbers were ignored by Don Kelly, which is surprising considering the start and considering his numbers all time, with the bases loaded. None of it made sense. There is very little tape on Nick York. We've seen him get off to a decent start here when he played, but that's about it. And he accounted for taking over that number 2 spot, which, as Andrew said, really cost him in the 9th inning when he had to come up again and made the final out of the game. Let's talk real quick about Pens Flyers before we get to the lines here, because this is going to be an interesting series, although I do think it'll be a 6-game Penguins advantage here. They're not playing anyone tonight, nor should they. This is the last, and I expect sometime tonight.
Well, they
right?
are actually. I disagree with you on that. I think they are playing some guys. You got Ben Kindle out there.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the big 4, those guys specifically.
Oh.
I mean, those are the guys you need to protect.
Yes.
When you have to play somebody, those 4 guys are the ones who I was referring to.
Now,
but
where's
Kindle,
Rust? Is Rust in the big 4?
Goal.
Who's
What?
4? Is Carlson 4 or is Rust 4?
No, Carlson.
Who's the big 4 now?
Well,
okay.
all of them. 4. I would put Carlson just because of his age and what he's done. All those guys. The guys you would expect not to play did not play. So, but yet here we go. We got a series with Philadelphia. They got in last night, winning a shootout against Carolina. And Carolina didn't play 6 or 7 of their guys either. So they got in. They'll be underdogs. Your take on what the Flyers and how they're going to have to beat the Penguins, because I think the Penguins have a lot of advantages in this series.
Well, really the big debate as far as who has the advantage, I think 2 areas are really important, and I think you could argue either way, and those 2 would be goaltender and coach. Because if you go by stats this year, Vladar, the only 2 goalies in the NHL that have allowed fewer goals per game are Andrei Vasilevsky in Tampa and Wedgwood in Colorado. He's 3rd. He was the Flyers team MVP this year. They voted him MVP. But Stuart Skinner's gone to the last 2 Stanley Cups. So that's a discussion. One guy's got postseason experience. The other one really doesn't. And then the coaching angle. I mean, Dan Muse has been the best coach in the NHL for my money during the regular season. For what was expected for the Penguins and what they did, I would say his coaching job was the best. But we're talking about Rick Tocchet, who knows the Penguins inside and out. He was a Jack Adams winner in Vancouver. He took the Arizona Coyotes, who were always a disaster, and made them a playoff team. He's a really good coach. And he came right out and said it, Bob, today. He said, my plan, he goes, those guys, Letang, Malkin, and Sid, they never die. Those guys have such a competitive spirit. But he said, we're going to go right at those guys. Okay, and the Garnet Hathaways of the world and the Sean Couturiers, that's what they're going to try to do in this series. They're going to go to some of those old Flyers tactics, and let's see if these guys, now that they're almost 40, can Letang keep his head screwed on straight?
Malkin is the guy I would worry about more.
Not lose his mind.
Right. He's the guy who can get it going, and when he does, when he loses that composure, it leads to bad things. But yeah, I would expect that, but I also would expect them to take some penalties if they're going to do that, and that's where the Penguins have an advantage with their power play. Let's get to the phone lines. A lot of people want to talk about all these teams, and we don't have all that much time here. We need more minutes in this show, I think, Andrew. Let's go to Mark, who's on the road, and he's our number 1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night. Hello, Mark.
Hey, Bob, Andrew, good to be with you guys.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, I agree with you. I'll be quick. I think the Pens win this series, but you guys touched on a couple points that are concerning me. Tocchett's knowledge of the Pens. I also think the Flyers aren't the big bad bullies and expected to win this time, too. That's a piece that concerns me. And the goaltending, you guys hit that too. I want to believe in Skinner. I really do, and I hope he pulls through. But that kid they got over there is big, and he's playing well, and it concerns me.
No, I think that's a good point. Thanks, Mark. And Vladar is a big dude. He covers a lot. The one if you look at his game and where he's been vulnerable, it's moving side to side. So if you're the Penguins, I think you want to get him moving because he covers a lot of ground there for sure. As far as Tocchet is concerned, he knows them, but they know him. I think they know a lot about what tendencies there are in this. So I just think it's going to be fascinating. I would expect some sort of schedule tonight. Is that what they're talking about, Andrew? Because we haven't heard yet. I assume it's Saturday.
I don't think we're going to find out until Thursday because there's still 2 more days of hockey to go after this. The Western Conference doesn't wrap up until Thursday. The conjecture is there's going to be 2 or 3 games on Saturday. And the night game is going to be a Canadian team for Hockey Night in Canada, so that would mean the Penguins would play either a really early afternoon game or a late afternoon game.
Right.
But the scuttlebutt on that is Buffalo plays Boston. And ABC has that early window, and Buffalo does monster ratings, and Boston's a great hockey city too. So it's going to be, I think, one or the other. It's either going to be the Penguins, Flyers Saturday afternoon or Sabres, Bruins. And if the Penguins don't play Saturday afternoon, Bob, there's talk that series could get delayed till Sunday or Monday, which is insane to me.
That's insane. It's too much time. And honestly, again, I try to look at the fans' point of view here, too. A lot of people are wondering because they have to make decisions, too, on how they're going to plan their weekends and what they're going to do.
Well, and then the Sixers are a monkey wrench in this because
I saw that.
They start on the road, too. And so there's going to be arena availability issues in Philly, not to mention there's a band called Florence and the Machine. Have you heard of them? They're playing in Philly next Saturday, which means that they can't use the arena that day either.
I've heard of that
so
group,
who
but
knows?
I didn't know they were there. I knew about the Sixers and the dilemma they have. So that's going to be very interesting. You see our KDK.com/Connect poll of the night brought to you by Penn West University. What position should the Steelers take in the first round? That draft is coming up next week. Things are going to be gearing up. Do you like offensive line, receiver, quarterback, defensive back? And I asked this real quick, Andrew, because Adam Schefter went on today and said pretty much what I think I'm thinking. Why is this taking so long? And is there a chance? And I still think until we hear something for sure, yeah, maybe the Steelers know. If so, just say it. But if they don't know, this will, obviously lead to a question about how they handle this draft if they find out he's not coming back. I still don't know what to think. And I think having Schefter go out there and say he's confused says a lot about the situation.
Well, Aaron Rodgers doesn't text Adam Schefter back. We remember that happened infamously, and he told him to lose his number. So maybe a little bit of what Schefter is saying is like a shot and a dig at Rodgers for not being communicative. If Rodgers is in the dark really with them and not telling them what's going on, then shame on the Steelers for waiting and not making a move and being more proactive this offseason and not looking for other quarterback options that were readily available to them in both free agency and in trade between now and the draft. And if he doesn't sign, Bob, then, I want to proceed forward with Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. That's my plan at quarterback and give Will Howard a shot this season.
And they'll draft another arm somewhere along, whatever round that may be. Let's go back to the lines. We have PJ in Cannonsburg. Hey, PJ, go ahead.
Yes, how are you guys? Yeah, you kind of stole my thunder on the Brandon Lau on his stats and everything. You can add 8 home runs and 16 RBIs to that. And as well, why even start him against left-handers? If you can't trust him in a pressure
he's a veteran.
Your best player.
Right. That's what I mean. He's been around the block, even if the numbers. And I don't expect left-hand hitters to have better numbers generally against right-hand pitching. Or left-hand pitching, I mean. But, the situation is this. He's your best hitter. He's your hottest hitter. You got to go for it. One more call here, Andrew, before we go back to you, and that'd be Mel in Mount Pleasant. Go ahead, Mel. Hello, Mel.
Yes.
You're on. Go ahead.
Oh, I'd like to show you guys. I just have a couple comments to make. Like, you already talked about what I want to say about the stupidest move that I've ever seen a manager make with Vincent Lau and cost him 2 at-bats. And the other thing I want to say is, how many times is a Pirate manager going to lose games for them, especially when it comes to the pitching part?
So far, I think this is the first example that we've seen from Don Kelly. It's the biggest situation that called for, a decision, and his decision was the wrong decision. Now, I haven't heard anything from him, Andrew. I don't know if you have post-game. Was there something nagging? I don't want to dismiss that if there was an injury or something involved.
Well, if there is, then he's got an alibi. He's got an excuse. But if he doesn't, then it's just a boneheaded decision. And you manage 162 games. It's going to happen a couple times, but that's just a mistake. Like, common sense needs to prevail in these situations. You know, nobody, and I mean no one, who was watching that game at home or at PNC Park said, you know what I would do here? I'd pull my best hitter and put a bench guy in.
Yeah, nobody. I was thinking, like the caller said, I was thinking, okay, he has 4 home runs and 11 runs back. If he hits a home run here, that's 5 and 15. You won't find a 3-game stretch like that ever, probably in the history of the game. It wasn't for 2 games. What an opportunity to give him, and he took it away.
Yeah, well, Chuck Tanner used to do stuff like that where guys would be hot and he'd get a hunch to bench them. But
I remember one in
particular.
Donnie, Ed Ott was like red hot. No, it was Steve Nikosha, who was like 4 for 4 in a game, and late in the game they brought in a right-hand pitcher, or I forget what happened. Maybe it was reversed. But everybody's wondering, what are you doing? The guy's 4 for 4, and you're taking him out of the game. Well, it turned out he was the right call because they got a big hit to win the game. So, yeah, you roll the dice there, but this is the wrong time to roll it with the best player on your team right now, hitting-wise.
Exactly. So, hey, get back tomorrow. One of the things that was encouraging about Monday night and the 16 runs was that they made up for the mistakes they had in the Cubs game the previous day. Now you hope that your starting pitcher is able to do that. But it's a weird one tomorrow. I'm very confused about that, too. They're going to go with an opener, and then Majinski's going to go in. So Mason Montgomery is going to start the game. Bob, why do they – I mean, you want to talk about getting too cute. If it ain't broke with Carmen Majinski, why fix it? I don't get that at all.
Plus, Montgomery pitched tonight. If he pitches tomorrow, and then he won't be available, you know, the next. I don't understand openers. I never did, unless you're really. This is 16 games into the season. We shouldn't have.
You're
openers.
not desperate right now.
No,
I know. I don't get it.
We got to go to a break. Take it right now. Come back with more right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, welcome back. Bob Pompeani, Andrew Fillipponi with you. Andrew, I want to ask you about the Eastern Conference in the NHL. To me, it's Carolina's to lose. I mean, I look at them. I think they're the best team. I know Buffalo's had a heck of a year. Tampa is still Tampa. Montreal could be sneaky. Do you look at it the same way? And if not, which team do you really worry about here?
Well, you know, I think Carolina, something is obviously missing with them as far as playoff success, because they get to the Eastern Conference Final, then they get blown out every year there by the Atlantic Division team. But, you know, lately those Atlantic Division winners have been the Tampa Bay Lightning and Florida Panthers. And the Panthers were just too heavy and too physical for them. So if they're going to do it, it's going to be this year. And I do think they can get through and make it to the conference finals and Stanley Cup final.
Very interesting to watch. I love this time of year. Andrew, thanks as always. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Bob. Andrew, beyond the PM team 2 to 6. That's going to do it for us. For Andrew Fillipponi, I'm Bob Pompeani. Have a good night. We'll see you again tomorrow night, 7:35, 10:35, or on the West Coast.